Hi everyone, I'm Cap, and I'm going to be going over the Man Lakes tutorial because I previously did a pseudo tutorial, but it wasn't really a tutorial because I didn't really explain anything, I just sort of did it. So this is going to be a much more in-depth tutorial about the Man Lakes zero cycle. I call it a zero cycle because it doesn't even get a shot off, or Man Lakes quick kill is another word for it, but I like zero cycle, it's flashy. So the first thing is to discuss is that I currently, in this tutorial, I have the entirety of the exploration kit, just because that's what this file is, but the exploration kit not only doesn't make it easier, but it actually makes it harder. So, you know, you can do this file when you don't have rush boots or rocket fist or any of the other exploration kit upgrades that you would not normally have in a payoff that speedrun. So the next thing is that you want to use as many purples as you can for this fight, but I'm going to be using 15, which is the recommended minimum number of Pikmin that you want to use, so I'm basically going to show that it's possible with 15. I have done it with 13 before, but 15 is the one that basically always works. When you get 13, it's a little bit less consistent. In any case, quick terminology, because terminology is important when I'm talking about this. First, it's the rings. This is the rings surrounding Mana Legs. I'm going to be using the inner ring and outer ring terminology. It's really easy. The outer ring is this raised edge, so I'm currently on the outer ring. And then the flat edge is the inner ring, so I'm now on the inner ring. So outer ring, inner ring. Fuck, I activated it. Happens. But yeah, outer ring, inner ring is what is terminology I'll be using for this tutorial. It's hard with rush boots, man. I'm not used to doing this tutorial with rush boots. But outer ring and inner ring is one of the terminologies I'll use, and another terminology you use is phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is basically in between the Man at Legs waking up and shaking. And phase 2 is the section where he opens up its abdomen and the Man at Legs starts firing stuff. So I'm going to be talking about the throw sequence for phase 1, but first I'm going to be talking about where you want to stand. So you want to stand, now with the new terminology in hand, you want to stand right here, like right before you are in the, it doesn't have to be super precise, but it's just sort of in this general position where it's like right before you are on the inner ring. So just on the edge of the outer ring. I did not activate the Mana Legs, that is so scary. But yeah, so you want to be standing right around here. This will maximize your pound damage. Obviously you want to make sure that your cursor is over the Mana Legs. And so the next important thing is the throw sequence. So for phase 1, damage output is really important. So I'm going to go over here, not on the Mana Legs, and just do the throw sequence so you guys can see it. So the first part of the throw sequence for phase 1 is you want to throw like 12 to 14 Pikmin, and then after the 14th Pikmin is thrown, buffer whistle so they all come back to you immediately. So like that. So after I throw the last Pikmin, I'm buffering whistle so that they all come back immediately, and you know, so you want 12 to 14. The more the better, of course, but it's fine either way. And then after you whistle them all back, they're probably going to be over here. You want to C-stick towards you and throw 3, and then buffer whistle again. And then after you do that, then you can then you want to just throw the rest onto its body as it's raising itself. So all together, the throw sequence should look something like this. Whoops, I screwed up. 1 sec. I didn't buffer whistle right. You see, if you don't buffer whistle, it's hard. I'll try it again. So you see, I just continually whistle and throw all of the Pikmin, and when you do that right, the Man at Legs should have less than half of its health. Its health should be orange. So I'm going to stand right here and I'm going to do this throw sequence, and you'll see that in action. So as you see, for phase 1, its health is much below half, and that's how you know it's going to work. I'm obviously not doing phase 2 yet because I didn't explain it first, but phase 1 is very important. You need to get its health down, so that's why I'm explaining phase 1 in such detail. And where you stand is very important, because if you don't stand in that position, you'll either miss the man at legs, or you won't get the proper pound damage from the purples. So where you stand is pretty important. So now I'm going to go talk about phase 2, which is equally important, right? Because you got its health below half, but you still have to kill it. So phase 2, you obviously want to whistle off, like I did in phase 1, you want to whistle off all your Pikmin before it shakes, so that you have time during the shake. So, for phase 1, you wanted to stand right here on the edge of the outer ring. For phase 2, you want to touch your captain slightly forward, so that you're now standing on the inner ring. And the important thing is you want your cursor to be outstretched as far as possible, because of course your cursor can be very close to you or it can be maximally far. But hopefully if you're standing right here, naturally the strat works, because when you move your character up to the inner ring, your cursor is automatically under the Mana League shadow, perfectly outstretched. And that's really important to get the purples to connect properly. So as it's shaking, you want to move from where you were standing before to, you see it's hard with rush boots because you move too fast. But you basically want to take a couple steps forward on the shake and move from here to here. And then your cursor will be outstretched, and then you can stick all your purples on it while it's opening its abdomen cannon. And that's sort of it, actually. If you do that, the damage output should be high enough that it dies just before it gets a cycle of its bursts out. So, hopefully I'll now do phase 1 and phase 2 back to back, and you can see how basically how I move my character between phase 1 and phase 2. So hopefully, moving up a little bit. Yeah, okay, so hopefully this tutorial will be clear when you see it all in sequence. Oh, man, I screwed it up. But it's fine, because my damage output is super high. You see, I moved up, so I'm on the inner ring right now. Rocket Fist screwed it up because I didn't throw all my Pikmin, but I was able to CC backwards and improvise, still get over half the damage that I wanted, and then I was able to move up during the shake, and I was able to do phase 2 correctly. So even when Rocket Fist, which you won't have in your Payoff Debt run or All Treasures run, even when Rocket Fist screws you up, it's still really possible. The main thing is just making sure that you move up from the inner ring to from the outer ring to the inner ring in between phases. This is a much better, more in-depth tutorial. Despite all the mistakes, this is a much better, more in-depth tutorial than the previous counterpart. So hopefully this is clear. Good luck.